Alright YouTube, what is going on? It is ConflctNerd Family here today, bringing you another episode of my Transport Fever Let's Play Let's Get Scotland Moving. In today's episode we're going to go ahead and work a lot on the trains because it's something which I really need to go ahead and start to make profitable again, and we're going to start off here with the Northern Food Line. So what problem am I having? Well, I'm really getting a problem in between the Elgin food processing plants and also the Thurso farm. So right now, as you can see this here, its production was at its limit at 800, it's now going to drop, and most likely it's going to drop all the way back down to 0. And then it's going to go back up to 800, so on and so forth. And then the same up here with this farm here. What happens with this farm up here is that a second ago it was on 0, it's now starting to climb up again, and then it's just a seesaw effect really. One goes down to 0, one maxes out, and vice versa. And that has been going on now for a very long time, just probably through me not monitoring things very well, to be honest. And that is now leading to it's not a consistent profit. So what I've decided to go ahead and do is make a change. So we jump in here to Railroad and then we come to the Northern Food Line. Then as you can see, I've gone ahead and I made a little bit of a change. So we've got a lot, and I mean a lot of trains on this line. As you can see here, we have, it looks like 4 goods trains to go ahead, and the reason I tried to put 4 on there was to just try and get a lot more livestock moving, which there is a lot more livestock at this end. I've got a feeling right now there could be a blockage, so I need to go ahead and... No, there's no blockage, it's just everything's moving very slow right now. But I also added in a grain train just so we can go ahead and start to get grain on the move at this end. As we can see, the farm is slowly producing grain, but I'm going to go ahead and make 1 or 2 changes. What are those changes? Well, I want food to come back up this way because right now the railway line is only profitable one way, which is going down from here up at Thurso down to Elgin. If I go ahead and bring food back up, then it'll make it profitable 2 ways, which is something which I think is a good idea. So let's go ahead and start off with that. Then from there, I want to try, actually, you know what, no, we'll do that in a second, but I want to try and add in another farm up here. It's something which I've been really meaning to do for a while. The problem is, where am I actually going to get a farm in? There we go, that fits in there nicely, so that's the second farm up here. Now, I do realise in the past I've said that I only want to go ahead and build farms on the islands because that would give islands use. I will be using the islands for other forms of resources throughout the next few episodes when we reach that stage. However, for the time being, I really just need to go ahead and add in another farm up here to make sure we're doing consistently good up here. As you can see, there are a few trains which are queuing up, which is good to see. However, I need to go ahead and consistently sort of have this ball rolling. As you can see at this end, we're near, I mean, we'll hit the limit. We'll hit 1,600, I can guarantee it. But then the Elgin food processing plant, it is plummeting. It was on 800 and it's now just consistently going down and down and down and down and down. So I just need to go ahead and keep up the demands. For that, I need to probably add more trains, I need to go ahead and add another farm, and I also need to put another food distribution centre up here. So that's what I was going to do, and that's what we're going to go ahead and do now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab you, and I'm going to try and stick you in there. Now the real question is, you have sphere of influence over both farms, that's the main thing. So with that done, we can go ahead, and I had a feeling I'd done this before, and I had done this before, but I landed up deleting the episode just because I really wasn't happy with it. When I land up recording something and I'm not happy with it, I consult myself and go, can I do better? And if I can do better, then it gets deleted. But when I sometimes delete the episodes, I sometimes forget what stuff I've done and don't re-implement it, and that's pretty much what's happened in this case. So for that though, we can go ahead and start to provide food to all of Thurso, which will be very useful, and that should hopefully improve everything down at Elgin, and then that should just be a win-win-win. So whereabouts are we going to have our food distribution centre in the town of Thurso? That's a good question. So I want to go ahead and put it round about blue buildings, commercial buildings, and there's a bit of a focal point. I would say it's probably in the centre strip here, and what I'm thinking is I want to probably add it in roughly round about here, probably off this junction here, not to destroy any more commercial, but to go ahead and have it surrounded by commercial. So let me go ahead and see what I can actually fit in here. So if we actually select the right thing, that's really where I want to put it. However, I don't want it to destroy that many buildings, but at the same time I think I'm going to have to. So that works out there. It didn't destroy too many buildings, cost near enough 2 million, but that's sometimes just a price that you really do have to pay. So with that done, let's go ahead and create a new route, which is going to go here from Lower Thurso out here to Thurso Annex, which if anything it would be the other way around, and then I'm very quickly just going to go ahead and name this. So that there is the ZF Thurso, which stands for, again if you're new to this series, Z basically just stands for all my cargo stuff, F stands for food, and then Thurso is the town that the route will operate in. The next thing I need to do is add trucks. We do have a road depot which is quite a bit away, and again what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off with 4 because I'm really not at all sure how popular this is going to be, if I'm totally honest. I think that is something which we've done okay with in the Central Belt, yet again in the Central Belt things aren't perfect. So later on in this episode I'll come back and see how we're doing here. I think now we've actually got a extra purpose for the line, and we've also got 2 farms in. I think the line should do much better. Hopefully these farms will go ahead and start to increase production. This farm here to the left is slowly, it looks like, going down or sort of being at a stable level, and the farm to the right here is slowly climbing, very slowly climbing, but at least we're getting full trains leaving here. That's really the main thing. I might need to go ahead and add in or modify some of the trains to go ahead and basically carry more wheat. And I'll also need to make sure that actually food is going to come back up north as well. That's something which I am not really at all sure if that's going to happen off default actually, so should probably go ahead and check that. As we can see here, we're now down to 250, but we're now going back up again, so very strange indeed. Right, you can carry grain and you can also carry food. So I'm hoping that you take some food back up with you, however I'm not really at all sure if you will. Again, I've got this issue here which is a little bit frustrating. Let's go ahead and get rid of that there, and that should solve my problem. I just don't want that train getting clogged up. Unfortunately, you're not taking any food up north, which is extremely frustrating. You are in the... yeah, you're in the proximity of the farm, so you should be able to be given food, and I've also got food to go on that train, so a little bit of a shame. We'll come back and see if that is working though in the next episodes. I do want to jump down to my other food goods though and see what's going on down here. Things in general are going much better down here, however they're still not absolutely perfect. So I don't know if you're just waiting there or if you're dropping stuff off, because it looks like you're empty, so you probably have dropped stuff off. How are we doing over at this end? Looks like production is extremely low over here as well, for the first time in quite a while. How's this train doing, which is just leaving right now? You are... okay, so... yeah, we're a little bit low on supply, not gonna lie, and I don't know why that is, if that's just a universal thing. In general, the farms are kind of lower, which I'm not liking. The farms are usually in about 350s to 400s, but right now they're all in the high 200s, just about on 300s, so that's something which again is a bit of a shame. If we come back over here to our food distribution centre here at Stirling, I actually want to see how everything is doing. So all in all, there is a little bit of food on every single line. There's some lines which have got more food waiting than others. I actually just want to see the specific road vehicles really and see how we're doing. And as you can see, it's a sea of red, and that's something which I'm not liking. So first of all, the Stirling is extremely negative. We've also got the... I mean, that's the only route which actually has food waiting for it. Then we've got the Elgin and Thurso, they're not applicable down here. Peterhead's not applicable down here. So it's the Cumbernauld, which to be fair is only losing 28k, and then there's the Glasgow, which is only losing 68k itself. But I think there's just a bit of a food shortage right now, unfortunately, so that is causing me a few problems. Now, 1 or 2 people were suggesting in the comments of the last video I start to go ahead and move food down south via cargo plane, and that is something I definitely want to do, but I need to wait until the food is got to a decent level again and a consistent level, because this Northern Line in general is doing not bad, but it's just not consistent. That's the big problem, so we need to go ahead and make sure that it's consistent before we do some air cargo. It's something that I love to do though, and I think would be a great success. So now with that done, we can now see that there is food actually being dropped off at the train station here, which is good, and it looks like this train is actually taking some of it back up. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of room, but it has 1 car which can take some food up, so that will go ahead and move some food up to Thurso, so that is that problem solved. Again, I might need to modify trains, but we can do that at another time. Talking about modifying trains though, that is something I do want to do. So if we jump into here, we can see that our trains in general are doing quite well. However, the Aberdeen Thurso has been teetering on the profit on and off for quite some time now. At the start of the episode it was actually in the negative, it's now in the positive, but it's not in an amazing positive number. That 1 million is compared to, for example, the Edinburgh Inverness, which is doing amazing by the way. This is the first review we've had and it's at 19.1 million. That is doing absolutely amazing and I'm really glad for it. It is something that I want to see a similar number on the Aberdeen Thurso, and the highest number I think I've seen since we've moved to these trains is only about 5 million I think. So why is that? Well, there's one or two reasons, and I recently seen a comment literally 5 minutes before I came on and recorded some of this, is that I need to go ahead and not have ultra long train lines and instead I need to go for shorter train lines. So say for example I would go ahead and instead of having my long train line which goes from Thurso all the way around to Aberdeen, I maybe just have a section which goes from Aberdeen to Inverness. That's where 2 train lines actually end already, or 1 does already, but we could make it 2. And the reason for that is because those 3 towns are extremely busy and they're also extremely close. And then on top of that, I would go ahead and make a separate line which connects up Inverness to Thurso. So that means that we can have like 3 or 4 trains on the stretch from Aberdeen to Inverness, and then we can only have maybe 1 or 2 trains on the Inverness to Thurso stretch, because that stretch between Inverness and Thurso, I'm guessing, and by just looking at the amount of people waiting at train stations, how busy trains are when they're travelling up there, it's not as in demand as the stretch from Aberdeen to Inverness. And I think that's something which could go ahead and help give us more profit economically and see this line, or lines, produce more money separately. And I think that's what we're going to go ahead and do for at least that line. Right now, and I'm a bit sort of skeptical about breaking them up, to be honest. The Edinburgh Inverness I'll probably leave because it's doing absolutely amazing. The Glasgow Newcastle, it's a similar boat. The Peterhead Prestwick, that is something which I might break up because it is an extremely long line and there's definitely parts of it which are busier than others, that's for sure. Though I might leave that actually for the time being anyway until we make the lower circle, which again I do not know when that will be. So let's go ahead and get started with the Aberdeen Thurso. So really the only modification I want to make is I want to have, I think, 3 trains running from... I'm just thinking, do I want these bigger trains? I don't think I do. So I need to go ahead and very quickly check running costs in one of our train depots and see really what trains I want to have. So what I'm thinking, from the stretch from Aberdeen to Inverness, we would probably go ahead and have just 3 trains. And if we have 3 trains, then at this level, and as you can see it's gone into the negative again, then that would accommodate no problem. But then if I was to go ahead and have maybe 2 trains but of a smaller type from Inverness to Thurso, I think that would probably be the best thing. So the comparison I'm wanting to make is the current train. I just want to see its running costs per year. So right now it's at 4 million, whereas if we were to go for something like this, which is a train which I've used before and absolutely love, then its running cost is only, what, 2.5 million, so it's much lower. We can see that this line is just, it's in and out of profit right now. It's extremely strange. Whereabouts is train 20? So you're underground right now, and you've only got 27 passengers and you've just left Aberdeen, so we're obviously not getting a lot of use out of Aberdeen at all, which is a real shame actually, because I thought this whole stretch would be extremely profitable. So a lot of food waiting to go up to Thurso, which is good. How are we doing at Elgin? Elgin's not doing bad, but I think we need to go ahead and delete some buses. And then how are we doing here at... We're doing not bad at Inverness, but this line definitely needs broken up, so let's go ahead and do it. So let me go ahead and first of all return a train, because I don't think I need that many trains on this line. I think we'll go ahead and return 2 trains actually. Then what I'm going to do is go ahead and chop off Thurso for the time being, and let's go ahead and do that. So that is now the Aberdeen to Inverness line. So with that change to the Aberdeen Inverness line, that's now got 3 trains, and that should hopefully yield a little bit more profits. The next thing I do want to do is go ahead and I'm gonna have to try and do some more building underground here, but we're gonna have our line which goes from Inverness up to Thurso, which I'm very quickly going to create. So that's me gone ahead and done the junctions underground, which is the most frustrating part of the build, and let's go ahead and do the next section of this. So from Inverness to Thurso, like that, and then that will return it simply as. So it's, I mean, this is a very small, and this is in a sense really just a trial to see what works and what doesn't work, and if this does work then we'll go ahead and we'll start to, I think, really do this throughout the whole map. So let me go ahead and very quickly rename this, and with that done I'm going to go ahead and add in 2 new trains. Now I think right now for the time being I'm not going to use the trains that we've been currently using. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and grab myself a new train depot. I just want to check how we're actually doing here and how this is going to work. So with this line created, it's now time to go ahead and add in some trains, and I think we're going to go ahead and start that off here. I think we're going to give this train line its own, and I like to do this throughout my whole, I've done this throughout my whole series so far, and in previous series as well. Basically give this line its own engine shed, just so I know that, or roughly anywhere where trains are going to return to, plus engine sheds are actually really cheap. The 2 trains that I'm going to buy is this train here. So 1, it's incredibly short, which works out for my 2 train stations. 2, it's got a good capacity, and 3, it's got a relatively low running cost, and it's got not a too bad top speed. That's maybe not something which is going for it. I'm definitely not buying it for the speed, but I think running 2 of these should be okay. Again, at the stage of the series, it's very much just going ahead and analysing, seeing how we've done, and go ahead and basically make changes around that. So that is those 2 trains assigned, and then we should hopefully start to see a little bit more movement again back up here at Thurso, because essentially the station's gone from being relatively busy now to relatively empty. We can see here as well that there's a lot of people just wanting to use the bus in between the 2 towns. This is something which we need to go ahead and get rid of, because there's no point in me doing bus and train lines which run the same route. It's just utterly pointless. I do understand why people want to go ahead and maybe use the buses because they are miles away from the bus stations, but that's something which I need to go ahead, or train stations, sorry, but that is something which I need to go ahead and solve by buses. I need to put more buses in to allow me to go ahead and connect up to the train stations, so people will use the train stations instead of moaning about the buses. Right now, looking at an aerial map of Thurso, we can see the green line. This is the line which connects up Thurso and Inverness via the bus, and it does a not bad job at all, but I do need to go ahead and reroute it so that it goes via a lot larger parts of the town, because this stop here, for example, it's the only stop for this whole part of town, and that is, you can evidently see with 169 people, putting a lot of pressure on this line, and I think I just need to have better integration with the railway station. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go and delete the Inverness to Thurso line. So that is very simple. I'm just going to go ahead and sell all vehicles on return, and then we're going to go ahead and delete that. Now that is a real shame, because it is an extremely successful line, 1.63 million overall. But with doing that, I will hope that we can go ahead and make the money back. So we're going to create a new line in Thurso which basically connects up the town to the railway station much better, and it's going to be a point-to-point. Someone suggested doing a loop, but I don't really think loops are that good. I think that if we have it going via the centre of the map, or the centre of Thurso, which should be relatively easy to do, then say for example if we start over here at the right by my mouse, then people are going to want to travel on the stretch into town. And then if we do something similar from another point, say for example over where my mouse is, up to the top left hand corner, then people are also going to want to do the same coming backwards and into Thurso, and they're going to also have to travel home from the railway station to the houses as well, so I think this should be a relatively profitable line. Where are we going to do that line, however, and what route are we going to take? So there we have it, that is me gone ahead and created a point-to-point like I said. So it starts off up here in this top right hand corner, and then it makes its way through the town. As you can see, without the bus line now, the train is much more popular, so we'll go ahead and deal with that issue in a second. Then it comes into the bus station, then it comes out following my mouse along to the left of my screen, and that is a point-to-point. Thankfully, we've also got the Thurso dock runner in the town as well, which provides services to connect people up to the centre of town as well, and with those two I think everything should be fine. Thurso dock runner is interestingly just about making a profit as well. It's not at as large loss as it once was, and we're starting to see people use it. I think it's because I deleted the old line which I had, and I think that should probably get very close, if not turn profit very shortly. Again, that depends on the amount of usage on the boats though, and that's something which we can probably improve at the Peterhead end as well. Right, so with that line created then, I basically just sold a bunch of vehicles, but I'm basically going to go ahead and deploy lots more vehicles. So instead, I don't know how profitable and how busy this is going to be, but I'm going to go ahead and grab the good old city bus ones. The reason for this is because I think we need to go for frequency over capacity. I think that we'll need to pick people up a lot, yes, but at the same time I think that we will not really have to go ahead and get like 60 people on a bus. I think 48 should be adequate. So let me go ahead and assign them onto line 1 and off they go. So we'll come back to Thurso again later on in the episode and basically see how things are doing. And we'll see the integration with the railway station. I think the railway station is doing extremely well now, but there are some more changes which I need to go ahead and make. So the first one is I need to add on another train evidently already, because as we can see this train is already full and there's already a lot of people waiting at the station. So if we jump back into multiple units and go ahead and grab another, just one of these for the time being, we'll go ahead and put it onto that line. The next thing I need to do is go ahead and, I think anyway, what I'm gonna do, yeah, as we can see, I need to change up my food distribution because we're producing a lot more wheat and we're not really producing livestock anymore. So I think I need to go ahead and pull one of the older trains off which just holds livestock and basically just change it for an all wheat train. So having a look basically at the initial profit so far, so as we can see the Inverness to Thurso stretch is up to just about 1 million already, which is great to see. Also added on an extra train there, by the way. On top of that, we can see that the Aberdeen to Inverness is into the profit just and no more. Now there's one clear observation that I can make from this when this eventually loads. So we have 1, 2, 3 trains here, and we can see that 2 of them are extremely empty and then one of them is relatively empty. The 2 empty ones, the one which is on 0 is at, it just left Aberdeen and it's on its way to Elgin, and the same with the one that just left here on the right. The reason is because the Aberdeen to Elgin already had a bus, but I've just deleted that, so we're hopefully going to start to see more people use that and more people be relying on the train. I also think those 3 trains are maybe a bit squashed together right now, which is something that I think we will start to see be a little bit more of a problem if we don't go ahead and change it. So I think what we should do is probably stop one of the trains actually. Are you the back train? You must be the back train if you're... Actually, I want to stop... which train do I want to stop? We're going to stop this one here, I think, actually. So we'll stop you, just because there's no real need for you to continue right now. But we can see that that's already into the profit, and that's just early signs. On top of adding in the 2 million profit from the Inverness Thurso, say that's hypothetically 2 million, say that's hypothetically the Aberdeen to Inverness, say that's 1 million, then we're already at a 3 million profit, which is already greater than what we were on at an earlier stage. So I'll go ahead and resume that, so even that's delayed that by 30 seconds, that could yield a little bit more money. So with that done, the next thing I really want to do is go ahead and make some modifications to our other air routes. So we can see right now that the Highlands to Lothian, it is doing a little bit better in terms of, well, we're still not getting anyone using it, that's the real problem. So I'm still a bit disappointed on that. I think what we need to go ahead and do, there is actually people that use the Highlands Glasgow, or there was people that were using the Highlands Glasgow, but it looks like those numbers have dropped as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm definitely going to make one of you guys return to the depot, because we're just throwing money at that unnecessarily. So we'll go ahead and get one of you to return, and then we'll go ahead and analyse that a little bit later down the line. I think when we go ahead and get ourselves some air cargo on the go, that'll actually make proper use of airports, but until then I don't think we're really going to get too much use there. Coming back over to here and looking at our Stirling food processing plant, we can see that things are looking very much up from the start of the episode, which is good to see. I am a little bit curious to see now how our road vehicles are doing. So the Glasgow Stirling isn't getting a lot of food, but the Stirling route is getting a lot of food. So the Glasgow Stirling's actually in the profit. It's not as a large a sea of red as it once was. And then if we go ahead and look at the ZF Sterling, it's still in the negative, but I don't think it's going to be in the negative for very long, which is good. So that problem again has solved itself. However, it's really random. As we can see, the production here, it was at what, 900, it's now back up to 1400. So it just fluctuates. It's the strange thing. It's very random, something which I don't really like. But to be fair, the train is always making consistent profits on this route. As we can see here right now, it's at 11.2 million. I've seen it as high as 15 million, and this is a bit lowest I've seen it. I think I've seen it at 9 million once, but all, in honesty, it's always done extremely well. The North Food line is making much less of a loss than it once was. It was at like 6 million. That's down to 1.5 million now, so it's slowly but surely getting closer to profit. Aberdeen to Inverness, that's up to 5 million now, and so is the Inverness Thurso. So literally, this tiniest modifications that I've made have made an extremely large difference. That there, we've basically tripled, quadrupled, whatever the profits we're making, and hopefully we can go ahead and continue to grow on from that. Anyway, what I'm actually going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to wrap this episode up here. I do apologise, the reason is exams right now, so I'm extremely busy, but this was just a little bit of a slower episode, and it was going ahead and basically just analysing what we needed to go ahead and do, and really just remove duplication, and that's something which exists a lot on this map, and it's something which I really need to go ahead and try and remove as much as possible, and that is what not the next few episodes are going to evolve around, but it's going to be in parts of the next few episodes. I really don't know. I used to have a plan, and I've got a lot of things on my list, and I really just choose something off my list that I really fancy. What I think I might do is I might do the full loop, the Lowland loop, and the next episode, so go ahead and connect up Carlisle and Dumfries by bus. Before we end, actually, we did build a new bus line which connected up from Dumfries to Edinburgh, and that's evidently doing extremely well, so it's on a great profit right now. And we can see that there's plenty of people waiting on buses down here for it as well. A lot of people, I mean a lot of people. So what I think I'm going to do to end this episode is just add on a shit ton more buses, and this will hopefully go ahead and turn this in from a relatively profitable line, 300k up to maybe 1 million. Anyway, with that modification made, ladies and gentlemen, I'm wrapping this video up here, so hope you have enjoyed it. Please leave a like, rating, subscribe if you are new around here. Go down into the links below and check out my social medias where you'll find out what games I am going to be playing when videos are coming out, and basically just news about my channel. That's all for this video, so my name is ConflctNerd and I'm out.